Yes, coming to the today's topic. In yesterday's class, we discussed about the brief introduction about mobile computing. It enables the users uh, to access the internet services or network services from anywhere, anytime, and any place. And later, we discussed about the characteristics of a communication device. I'm repeating once again. We have four characteristics for any communicating device in the network. The first type of communicating device characteristic is fixed and wired. The best example for fixed and wired, I already told you, the desktop system is the best example for fixed and wired characteristic. Second characteristic is mobile and wired. This is the laptop computer is the best example for mobile and wired characteristic. Third one, fixed and wireless. This mode is used for already I told you this is used in case of historical buildings, etc. Last one, our this is our syllabus, mobile and wireless. Mobile device is the best example for mobile and wireless characteristic. Either of these four characteristic is have a communication device is having either of these four characteristics. Moving to the next one, applications of mobile computing. In the applications of mobile computing, majorly the mobile computing applications are used in the following the applications. First application, the mobile computing application is used in vehicles. I already told you in vehicles, DAB, that is digital audio broadcasting information that is received via digital audio broadcasting, weather reports, GPS, global positioning systems. All these things can be accessed by using mobile computing. Why? Because the vehicle is not at one place. It is as it is moving. Even though we can access the information of weather reports, the information of news, the information about the road conditions, and etc. etc. All this information is happens through wireless ad hoc network. Wireless ad hoc network. Okay, well, the best example for this one is the police vehicles and the ambulance and everything are the best example for this type of applications. Moving to the second application, that is the emergency applications. Emergency application is nothing but suppose let's take an example. When an accident takes place, when we call for ambulance, before reaching to the hospital in ambulance, the early diagnosis is happened in the ambulance itself, and this communication is transferred to the hospital. This early diagnosis is useful, and it is easy to treat the patient in the hospital. This is the major advantage of this emergency applications. Moving to the next one, that is the business application. In the business applications, when we need to give a presentation to all my teammates, and the critical presentations to give the major clients and major customers, and to share the latest market information, and everything. And suppose let's take an example of traveling salesman. A traveling salesman needs to access the company database, as he's traveling so many places. He needs to contact with the company database to check the stock of the each product or every other information of the stock. What he will do is he will connect to that office database by using his mobile device. Okay, this is how this mobile computing will be used in business applications. Moving to the next one, the fourth application of mobile computing is credit card verification. This is very simple. As we all see, the POS machines, that is point of sale machines, that is credit card swipe machines or debit card swipe machines, All these are called point of sale machines. What happens in the transaction is whenever we uh, made a transaction in a POS machine, what internally happens is the POS machine terminal will contact to the main database of the customer database, which is contacts with the bank to check the customer details, whether he is authenticated customer and whether he is having authorization to access the card and everything. Uh, the POS terminal will contact to the bank. When the approval is given by was given by the bank, the transaction was successful. For all these things, there is no physical relationship. All happens through mobile only. All happens through mobile only. The verification is done in the mobile only. This can improve the speed of the transaction and the process. Okay. This is how the mobile computing is used in credit card verification system in the point of sale. Next one, next application is a replacement of wired networks. Nowadays, all the wired networks are replaced by wireless networks. This happens. This is the used in some historical buildings. There in some historical buildings, they to fit a cable or we need to break the walls. We need to break the floor and everything. Okay, instead of that thing, what we will do is we will do replace the wired network by wireless networks. Okay, this is how the replacement happens of wired networks. And last one, last application is infotainment. This infotainment is comes under a GPS system, music system, gaming system, and everything. Everything comes under infotainment or entertainment. Okay. These are the major applications. The first one is vehicle application. Second one, emergencies, business, card verification, replacement of wired networks, and infotainment. These are the major applications of mobile computing. Moving to the next one. Moving to the next one. Next topic, limitations of mobile computing. Even though we have major advantages of mobile computing, major comforts towards mobile computing, though it has some limitations. To the limitations, first limitation is resource constraint. In resource constraint, the major resource constraint in mobile devices is a battery. As the mobile device itself, it is a small device. In small device, the battery size is also proportionate to the device size, that is small in size. As long as the battery is alive, then only we can access the network resources. If the battery goes down, we cannot able to connect to the network services. This is the one limitations in perspective to the resource constraint, that is battery. Next one is interference. Next one is interference. Coming to the interference means interfering. That means here we are using, listen carefully, here in wireless communication, we are using a radio interface. We are using a radio interface. This radio interface cannot be what we call cannot be protected against the protected to mix with another signal. Okay, this radio transmission cannot be protected against the interference using shielding and etc. Okay, that is the reason why the higher bit rates will happens in this wireless communication. The best example is for in case of interference. Suppose we have seen FM radio. FM radio means, all you know, FM means frequency modulation radio. the frequencies are given like suppose 98.3. If suppose one channel given a frequency of 98.3 megahertz, uh, 98.2 and 98.4 will not be taken as the frequency of by other channel, because those are the shielded bits or protected bits. If other radio transmission, if we give 98.2 or 98.4, there might be a possibility of interference of these two signals. That is the reason why those are called protection bits. That before one bit and after one bit is treated as protection bits. Later I will discuss in frequency division multiplexing. Now coming to the next limitation, that is the bandwidth limitation. Bandwidth, all we know. The coming to the bandwidth, every bandwidth, always we will see in the mobile device. In the top we will see 10.1 kbps, 15.1 kbps. That is called a transmission rate. A wireless device is having less transmission rate when compared to the wired device. Suppose a desktop system will give more transmission rate when compared to the wireless device. This is the major challenge in the wireless networks. Many of the researchers are now are most efficiently concentrating on this particular issue to provide the better communication protocol, to apply the better communication protocols to increase the network bandwidth. Okay, this is the next limitation. Going to the next one. Suppose in a fixed communication, the topology will not changes. Next limitation, in a fixed one, the topology never changes. If the topology does not changes, what happens? A topology does not, what happens? The fixed communication will happen. Coming to the wireless networks, the dynamic changes in the communication environment will happen. That is variation of signal powers within a region. Suppose one mobile device is having more signal rate and one mobile will having a less signal rate. As long as we are moving away from the base transceiver station, let's take a simple example. When we are close to the mobile tower, that is base transceiver station, our mobile will get a more signal. As we are moving away from the base transceiver station or the base station, the signal strength will be decreases automatically. This is the case what I am here explaining. Due to that, what happens means the connection loss may happens or communication delay may happens. Let's see in your mobile, whenever our mobile will get a more high signal rate, the uplink and downlink, the uploading and downloading happens very fast. When our mobile will get a less signals, what happens? Either a connection loss may happen or a communication delay may happen. This is what in wireless communication, the dynamic changes in communication environment will be happened. Next one, this is the major one, all we are facing day by day. Network issues. The connection it may be stable or may not be stable. We can't say. This is the major challenge. Next one, interoperability issues. Interoperability issues these type of issues will come because of protocols. Coming to the communication, connection oriented communication will use some protocols. Coming to the wireless communication needs another types of protocols like WAP, etc. WAP means wireless application or wireless access protocols. Depending upon these protocols and the variation of these protocols, the interoperability issues may come. Okay, this we will discuss in later. last limitation. This is last limitation. This is a security constraint. As you people are aware of security, you known about security in last cyber security, and now also you are learning about the security. The major security services, you know, I think the covered in first unit, uh, access control, security mechanisms and security parameters. We need to use the most efficient algorithm, most efficient key. So in order to provide security to the wireless communication, all we need to do is we need to include the encryption, good encryption parameters, authentication parameters, and everything, other security mechanisms we can use. The challenge here is the application, the algorithm, the encryption algorithm, the authentication and security mechanisms will be more tough, even the more tough, that must be efficient, but the people, the normal people can easily, must be easily understand what about the algorithm, about the security. Okay, this is what the major challenge in wireless communication. Okay, these are the major limitations of mobile computing and mobile computing applications. Moving to the next topic. Moving to the next topic. A simplified reference model. In computer networks, all you have learned about this OSA reference model, TCP IP reference model. Like that, in mobile computing, we have a simplified reference model. See this diagram. This is a simplified reference model. See here, look where my cursor is pointed. This left side one is a wireless device. This left side one is a wireless device. This right side one is a wired device. See, listen carefully. Left side one, this is a PDA, that means personal digital assistant, known that is a wireless device. This is a wired device, right side one. Here see the difference between wired and wireless. In the left side, see here where my cursor is pointed, it is a radio. That means there is no physical communication between this device and this intermediate device. See here, this is a wired device, so it has a physical connection between these two. Okay. See, this diagram shows a simplified reference model, how the wireless device is communicate. This mobile, see, this is a base transceiver station. Me language lo cheppalante cell phone tower. Okay, the technical name for this one is base transceiver station. Base transceiver station. These are the symbols of Wi-Fi. This is the wireless communication. Through this BTS, this wireless communication device will get the radio signals. Hence, these two are connected. These two are connected. See, here in this one, this diagram shows a protocol stack, and two end systems are there. One system is PDA, left side one is a PDA, another end system is a normal computer, desktop. Let's assume it is a desktop computer. Left one is a PDA. For these two, let's listen carefully. This middle one is a intermediate system. Middle one is intermediate system. Left one is a wireless system. And right one is a desktop system. What we will need is this intermediate system does not require full stack of layers. See, here we have 5 layers in this wireless device. Even though in the wired device we have five layers, But see here, in the intermediate system, only we have 3 layers. This only lower level layers. In the OSI reference model, they may tell you might learn about the only lower layers are responsible to establish a connection. Lower layers are established to get a to establish a connection. Here see, here only 3 layers are in the intermediate system. 5 layers are in end system. Coming to the each layer explanation, the physical layer. All we know about physical layer, we learned about physical layer in OSI in TCP. I will repeating once again. The physical layer is the lowest communication, lowest layer in the communication system. Here, see the difference. It will act one type for wireless communication, and it will act another type in wired communication. Coming to the wireless communication, what it will do is, it will accept the data from the data link layer. At the sender side, it will accept the data from here. See here, my cursor is pointed here. The physical layer will accept the data from data link layer. The data link layer transfers frames to the physical layer. The physical layer converts those frames into bits, that is ones and zeros. These ones and zeros are transmitted over the communication medium. If that communication medium is wireless medium, if the communication medium is a wireless communication, it will goes to the receiver side. This is, let us assume this is a receiver side. This is a receiver side communication. Here, these bits are transmitted in the transmission channel in the form of signals. These signals reaches to the receiver's physical layer. Again, these signals are reconverted to bits. This is the responsibility of receiver side physical layer. Again, these bits are transmitted to the data link layer and so on. This is how the communication happens. Suppose for wireless communication, mainly the physical layer plays an important role in case to get the frequency, carrier frequency, to get the signal detection and everything. Okay, this is the major responsibilities of physical layer. Moving to the next layer, data link layer. As we know, the data link layer is mainly meant for error detection and error correction. That is, it is responsible for both error detection and error correction. It is known for error control. Error control consists of error detection and error correction. Okay, during our class, if it may got disconnected, please join once again till our time, that is 12:15. Okay, next. Coming to the data link layer, mainly it will deal with errors, that is transmission errors, synchronization. Here's what is meant by synchronization. Synchronization is achieved by flow control. Synchronization is achieved by flow control. Flow control is nothing but if a sender is transmitting in the fast data rate, if the receiver is unable to receive that fast data rate, that is fast sender and slow receiver. Fast sender and slow receiver what will happen in this case? In this case, data overflow will be happen. Data overflow will be happen. Okay, this synchronization and transmission error, the data link layer will be helpful. So moving to the next one, network layer. As we know, the network layer data unit is routing. The network layer is majorly responsible for routing the packets through a network to establish a connection between two entities. It is what it will do is, by sending packets, it will establishes a connection between two entities over many intermediate systems, The major responsibilities of this network layer is, as we know in computer networks, same responsibilities here: routing, addressing, the device location, and handover management between different networks. These are the major responsibilities of network layer. These are the major responsibilities of network layer. Moving to the next one, very important one, transport layer. Here, in any reference model, the transport layer responsibility is to establish end-to-end connection, connections. Here, the difference between network layer and transport layer is, in network layer, there is source to destination, that is source to destination data delivery. Here, in transport layer, that establishes an end-to-end connection. Okay. Next, here by you in transport layer, we have seen two different protocols, that is TCP protocol for connection oriented system and UDP protocol for connectionless networks. Okay. These are the responsibilities of transport layer. Moving to the last layer in the simplified reference model, that is application layer. This is the above layer where the users can be connected, The major responsibilities of this application layer is the service locations, and it will support large variations in the transmission character. Suppose transmission characters, if transmission characters may be changed, and the wireless access World Wide Web to connect with the web, and every issue will be handled by application layer itself. Okay, I'm repeating once again why we are learning, what is the necessity of learning a simplified reference model in this mobile computing is, that as a part of mobile computing, all we know about how communication happens through mobile device. Here see, the left side mobile device, that is mobile device is getting network from this wireless, getting access through wireless, that is through this base transceiver station. Hence here we represented here gap, the radio, it will get a radio signal. Here right side we have another end system. Through this end system we will get direct access. Here, as I mentioned, this is the source, one end system. End means one end, another end means another end. This is one system, end system. This is another end system. I explained how this communication happens. Here, this communication happens with not virtually or wireless. This communication happens wired. If anything, you got any doubt during my class, never hesitate to put me a message WhatsApp, and I will clarify, and I will call you and I will clarify. No issues. Moving to the next part of our syllabus, that is GSM. Very important one. All we need to know about the GSM, as all we are GSM users. GSM users means in our mobile, we are using a SIM card. GSM means Global System for Mobile Communication. GSM abbreviation is Global System for Mobile Communication. All we are accessing these GSM services by using our SIM card, GSM SIM card. SIM means subscriber identity module. Over 800 to 900 million users in this globe are accessing these GSM services at present. Every network service we will get through this GSM. This is the most familiar one we need to know about. The best example, best example is our GSM card. All network services, all data services, voice services, data services, all services will got through this GSM network. And coming to the GSM, we are defined 3 different categories of services that provided by this GSM network. First type of service here see where the point is highlighted. That the service is bearer services, tele services, and supplementary services. Bearer services, tele services, and supplementary services. Coming to the bearer services, here GSM uses some mechanisms. Listen, I'm telling about bearer services. If my our meeting may got disconnected, please join everyone after this delay. In bearer services, every GSM uses different mechanisms for data transmission. Actually, the original data rate, that data rate means data rate is nothing but the transmission rate. The original transmission rate is up to 9,600 bits per second for non-voice services. Here I mentioned see 9,600 bits per second for non-voice services. Here it will, as I said before, the GSM will provide 2 types of services: voice services, non-voice services, data services. For non-voice service, 9,600 bit per second it will provide. Here, the bearer services permit the transparent and non-transparent data transmission. I will tell you about this one. What is synchronous data transmission and what is asynchronous data transmission? Later we will we have one unit on this one. I will explain there. These transparent bearer services only use the function of physical layer to transmit the data. See, already I told you physical layer is responsible for transmitting the data. Physical layer is responsible for transmitting the data. Only the transparent bearer services uses physical layer to transmit the data. This data transmission has a delay. It may got delay because of transmission errors. This data transmission is having a constant delay because of transmission errors. The transmission quality will be improved by using some techniques. The transmission quality